Good evening, I'm back. I'm your host, Jack Remington, of the Jack Remington NFL channel. This is video number 2 for ticket number 2, and a couple other tidbits that we talked about before. I promised to give my survivor picks for this week, and I got 2 pools, and my survivor picks are the Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the Houston Texans, just to win the game, survivor, and we're taking the Kansas City Chiefs, they're hosting the Chicago Bears. Okay, so just win the game, Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs can do that. But the 2-team teaser, we're only going to do one teaser until we get back on track and get the winning vibes. The 2-team teaser, it's a 7-point teaser, so it's $1.30 juice. It's high juice. So the 2-team teaser we're taking, first leg, the Los Angeles Chargers plus 7. They're pick 'em, so we're getting 7 points. Second leg, I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons plus 10. I know I've been bashing the Falcons. I'm bashing at Jay Ritter and bashing the team. Well, I finally took a look at them, and they got this running back, that Robinson guy, man. It reminds me of Marshall Faulk in a way. He just does. Powerful, but he's quick too. I mean, this Robinson guy, if he stays healthy, he might be around for a long time. And the Falcons like to run the ball. Teams that run the ball successfully, and they're 2-0. They're 1-1 against the spread, but still, I had the Green Bay Packers all over the Falcons, and the Falcons came back in the fourth quarter, and they beat them and beat my Packers. But anyway, that's my 2-team teaser. Los Angeles Chargers plus 7 or more if you can get it, and lock in Atlanta plus 10. The special situation bet. If I was in Vegas, I'd take 2 dimes, and I would watch the boards, and as soon as I start seeing Minnesota jumping out to a point favorite or a 1.5 for this first half, I'm all over the Los Angeles Chargers with 2 dimes. Why? The Chargers start out really well. They got the team speed. It's not the first half is where they implode or the wheels fall off. It's the fourth quarter of every game. Chargers find ways to lose games. I mean, I very rarely make first half bets. I don't think I've ever made a video where I had a first half bet. I'm pretty sure I haven't. This just smacks me right in the face. I think it's a good spot for this. I like my chances. If you have to take pick 'em, take pick 'em. If it's pick 'em or better, your favor, take the Chargers first half. You don't want to go minus a half because if it's 3-3 tie, you lose. So be careful with those halves. That's why quarters are hard to bet. So you want pick 'em if you can get it. Chargers, pick 'em or better, first half only. At teaser, 100 units only. Unit playing. Okay, let's word it that way. Okay, this is for entertainment, isn't it? Gambling, we'd never do that. Let's get to the picks. In ticket number 2, got the Chargers on both my tickets. And I already talked about the Chargers. Pick number 2, Dallas Cowboys. And I made the pick before I got the injury bet, that one guy, that defensive player that got hurt here. Trayvon Diggs, he's a great player. Cornerback. Quote, Trayvon Diggs will miss the remainder of the 2023 season with a torn ACL. End of quote. My wife told me he did it in practice. He was hammering it up. The Dallas injuries in Arizona, they both got the same amount. But Arizona's injuries, they only got 6 that are recent for this week. Dallas has got 10 of them that are with the Zach Martin, this all-pro guard. He's questionable. He's got an ankle injury. Brandon Cooks, wide receiver, knee, but he's probable. Ron Curse, just 2 days ago, questionable illness. Quote, Curse is ailing from an illness and is undetermined if he will be available for Sunday's matchup with the Cardinals. End of quote. That's not good. T. Biadez, the center, questionable hamstring. They lose their center, man, they're in trouble. Dallas all of a sudden woke up banged up. And they're 13 for 12.5 or 13-point favorites on the regular line? That's not good. But Arizona got injuries too. They got a couple of defensive tackles that one's out indefinitely, got questionable. We're not getting the healthier team with this Dallas Cowboys, but you know what? They're playing so good. They might rally around their injuries. Around Stephon Diggs, he was going to almost be a lock for the Defensive Player of the Year, or the MVP. I mean, he was playing lights out. So next man up's got something to prove that he belongs on that team. So we like that. Arizona, I'm not sure what their scheme is. They were reportedly, before the season even started, they were going to tank the season for various reasons. And I don't take much stock in that kind of stuff, but you know what? I pay attention to it, put it in the back of my mind. They're 2-0 against the spread. They've covered the spread twice. I'm not sure what they're playing possum, which makes them a dangerous team. 12.5 points on the contest. I got to take the better team. I got to take the team that, in a lot of metrics, they're number 1 on offense and defense in the NFL. Until I see otherwise, we're going to take the Dallas Cowboys. I got the Arizona Cardinals, the bottom 5 team in the NFL. So I've got the number 1 team in the NFL versus number 27, 20, 29, 30, 31, 32. I like my chances. I know they're on the road, but I think they can do it. Pick number 3. So we're taking the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're laying 13 to the Chicago Bears. Now these lines on this graphic that I'm going to put on the video here, those lines are fixed. They can't be changed, which I love about this contest. Kansas City's got some injuries. They're either probable and a couple some questionable. The one I don't care about is this Kadarius Toney player. The guy that dropped 4 passes. If he catches that 4th and 25, Kansas City wins that game. I better talk about it now so I don't forget. I rewatched that Detroit Kansas City opening Thursday night, the season opener. And yes, I had Detroit plus 4.5, and I'm bragging how I can't get that right. But I watched it for a 3rd time, and there's no. I'm telling you, I'm convinced that Detroit was a little lucky. Kansas City was banged up. They didn't have Kelsey. They had Chris Jones. And when I made my pick against Kansas City last week, I told on the video, Chris Jones is not going to be in shape. What's he do? He's got a sack and a half. He's got 3 run stuffs, bats the ball down, puts other pressures. He was a beast on that field against Jacksonville last week. Jacksonville's no slouch. Travis Kelsey. Well, he only caught that 1 pass in the 1st quarter for a touchdown. And he punched the ball to the fans in his end zone. And Kelsey looked pretty good. But he only caught 3 passes after that. He already burned them once. They double-teamed him. They put a spy on him. And so that freed up other people. And what did Patrick Mahomes do when Jacksonville stacked that line on 3rd and 5? She threw the ball and the guy catches it. And it's 1st and goal, and they run the clock at him. I'm telling you, Kansas City's defense looks a lot better than I've seen in a long time. Their defense looks better now than all of last year. They somehow, that Steve Spagnuolo for the Kansas City Chiefs defensive coordinator, plugged in some pieces, or someone's not playing hurt like they were last year. I mean, I think their defense looks faster, and I think they're tough. And now that Chris Jones is back, you saw what he did. I handicapped that game wrong because I should have factored that these guys were going to play, and I should have never played that game. How's that? I like what I saw out of Kansas City. I mean, I normally don't like Kansas City because I don't like the head coach. I can't stand Andy Reid. But maybe Reid, he's 1 year younger than me. He's learned his lessons over being in the NFL almost all his life. Let your coordinators do their jobs when you got good coordinators, and he has them. And he didn't do that with Philadelphia Eagles. Those great, beastly teams he had with Philadelphia Eagles. That's why I'm angry at them. They should have won a couple of Super Bowls. I'm sorry. 1 and 5 in the NFC title games. And the one they won, they had Terrell Owens, and they lost to the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl by 3. They're Donovan McNabb threads the needle with a minute left and a 30-some yard perfect pass in the end zone to cut the lead from 10-3. They had some beast teams when they were running against New England. I understand that, but Chicago Bears, they don't have that many injuries. But the few they do, they're out indefinitely. The offensive lineman's out. Other offensive lineman's questionable. They're having some off-field issues. The quarterback threw the coaching under the bus, which I'm sure didn't help. The NFL is still a meritocracy, and they're not authoritarianism like people keep claiming that they are. But in the cinema industry, professional sports, you got to have your hierarchy, your sovereignty is a word, your authority, your permissions. The owners own, the general managers manage, the coaches coach, the players play, and the fans are fans. I heard that from my Vegas friend. The very first trip I ever made to Vegas, and I went up to the window and made my first bet, which I lost. But this guy helped me get to where I am at today. Rumored to be a professional handicapper living off $600 a month Social Security is what he was getting, and he had a big job in it, believe it or not. $600 a month Social Security, but he made the majority of his money betting one sport, the NFL. He quit baseball, run lines, he quit all that, he quit basketball, soccer, hockey, nothing. He mastered the NFL. It's going to pertain here to the Chicago Bears. When that dynamic of the owners own, the general managers manage, the coaches coach, the players play, and the fans are fans, we'll take the fan part out for this part, but when that dynamic gets disturbed somehow, okay, that's not going to sit well. Shanahan, the old man, had the Washington Redskins come out of retirement. He had open camp between Kirk Cousins and RG3 III. RG3 III was a high draft pick, either the first or second, I forget. Daniel Snyder, a real estate mogul, who I actually met when I was living back east, believe it or not, before he became a football owner. He overruled the head coach he got out of retirement. Kirk Cousins beat him out in camp. Well, no, you're going to bench Cousins. He's going to be the second or third stringer. You're going to play RG3. I'm selling tickets, and RG3 is our ticket seller. And so I could see the look on Shanahan's face in his press conferences. He had a 2-year contract, so he went in his 2 years, and then that was the end of him. When that dynamic is broken, RG3, they creamed the Saints on the road. Their very first game's coming back to me. It's not part of the script, it's come back to me now. But after that, they lost their next 7 games, whatever it was, and they never did anything. Because RG3 is too small for the NFL. Like the kid from that Manziel, the Texas A&M kid. too small for the NFL. Not a good mix. When that dynamic between your coaches and the players, I mean, and then you got Justin Fields throwing the coaches under the bus, that's not going to do well. Chicago's got some serious problems. And then on top of it, a player and then one of their own coaches gets arrested from some FBI sting. I heard it was human trafficking, all kind of thing. I might scratch that part out because I don't really want to comment on that. I'm only commenting that there's serious distractions. Now, if you're a Chicago Bear player and you can compete if you play on a different team, are you going to play hard for the film so you can get out of there, this dumpster fire that Chicago now is? Or are you going to just save yourself and wait and see? Nah, I might do a half-ass tackle, but if he gets away, I'm not going to, I'll just go down. Are you going to save your body? I'm telling you, you got to remember, these are rich young men, and they like making those big checks, and most of them know it's not going to last forever. They're going to save their bodies. Then what's Kansas City got to do? They're the defending Super Bowl champions. They're supposed to play good all the time, and their offense is kind of sputtering a little bit. Okay, this is their get-well game, and they're home in front of the crowd. That crowd's going to energize. Mahomes has proved it. They were down 24-0 against Texas. Bill O'Brien's. They were up 24-0. And let me tell you, man, look on Andy Reid's face. He had that Roadrunner look that I put on the other video last week. But Mahomes, he wasn't going to, not for him. He's going to stop. Come on. He's trying to rally. He's rallying the crowd. He's got his hands. Mahomes single-handedly cheer him. That's why I like Mahomes. When I saw that, I started liking it. I even know I bet against him that game. A true leader. Hey, we're the Kansas City Chiefs. We got something to prove. My God, they did it. And they look on Bill O'Brien's face, he knew he couldn't stop it. And I think they had Deshaun Watson was a quarterback, too. Not only did they win the game, they covered the spread, too. Kansas City gets the motor turned on. They're unstoppable on offense. And now they got a defense to match it now. I'm telling you, if I was in Vegas, I know I'm 13.5. I know it's a lot of points, but you know what? Well, I'm laying the chalk here. I want to see how did Chicago can stay in this game. And I know Kansas City got some injuries. I know they got this. And maybe Kelsey's not 100%, but he's good enough. Chris Jones, this is their get-right game. I'm taking the Chiefs, and if I lose, I lose. Next game, we're taking the Los Angeles Rams, plus 2.5 at the Cincinnati Bengals. One of the 2 Monday night games we got this week, and I have to go to work. I can't watch the games. A few weeks ago, this was in the early lines and the summer lines, Cincinnati -7, and I think offshore was -8. My friend at work, my coworker at work, told me it got bet down to 4, and now it's 2.5. That's a big move. I know what you think about the Rams, but neither team's got a big, long injury list like all those teams I just talked about. I am worried about this Puka Nacua, that wide receiver that set the NFL record for his first 2 games as a rookie. When I was watching the game, what I saw, he fell on the ball wrong, and I did that when I was a kid too, and it hurt for weeks. It's quote, Puka Nacua is dealing with an oblique injury and is unknown if he will face the Bengals on Monday. He's probably not going to play. They're weird, strange injuries that are not quantifiable. And unless you've had one, you don't really know what it is. He wants to play, this guy. He's a good sensation. He's a good pickup by Sean McVay. That worries me. Defensive back Jay Taylor II got a groin injury. He's out indefinitely. The Bengals, there's only one injury I'm worried about. Joe Burrow. Quote, Joe Burrow is battling right calf soreness and is undetermined if he will take on the Rams on Monday. End of quote. They got him here as questionable. Not doubtful, they got him questionable. I watched a couple of Cincinnati Bengal blogs and some videos, and I called some people, emailed some people, text message people. They say Joe Burrow is going to play. But I found one old sharp in Vegas that told me that don't count on that. It has not been determined as of film time right now, and it's Friday afternoon. I'm going to work on the videos tonight when I get home from work, and it's Saturday morning. I have the videos out by Saturday. So I had to make my pick. I got to get my picks in now. I'm making this pick that Joe Burrow is going to play. I'm not going to make that mistake I did with Kansas City. I was counting on Kelsey not playing. I was counting on Chris Jones not playing. And there was some other injury they had to. That guy played too. I'm handicapping the game as if Joe Burrow was going to play. And why am I going against an 0-2 desperate Cincinnati Bengals team? And this is part of the ugly from my handicapping. I said right in the video the other week that Zach Taylor has never won a week 2 in his entire career. And every year in the NFL, he was 0-4 in his week 2. And now he's 0-5. Why I didn't have the Ravens is beyond me. But that's on me. I say these things on the videos, but then I don't put them on the contest. That's stupid. That's my negligence, and I apologize. Can an 0-3 team make it? Well, the Bengals, I think, are good enough that if they do go to 0-3, I think they can still make it. Here's the problem with the Bengals. They signed that Joe Burrow to $275 million. And my wife says she went in the other room. She's not here to help me with this one. $275 million. And he deserves it. He's earned it. I'm a capitalist. You can make the money. Hey, good for you. As long as you're not a criminal and you're not stealing it, and you're not using fraud. Yeah, Joe Burrow's no fraud. He's the real deal. I want to say it's a 5-year contract. And I'm not going to waste time on the video here. I am going to say that now the Bengals are in a pickle. They got their star player, their franchise player, okay, is hurt. And yeah, they could fall in the banks of, yeah, we were 0-2 last year when we made it. We made it to the AFC Championship game. We were one play away from going back to the Super Bowl. But Kansas City, their defense stepped it up, got the stop, and that was it. They kicked the field goal and the game was over. Okay? But the Bengals, they were there. I'm hoping that they're thinking that way too. And this is why I'm hoping that they think that way. Oh, okay, well, we can lose one more game. But see, they're making a mistake that way. But the biggest mistake they're making is not benching Joe Burrow from the get-go. Letting that calf thing heal. That calf thing could turn into an Achilles thing and it'd be another Aaron Rodgers situation, right? I know I should be second-guessing the general managers. I shouldn't be second-guessing people that are in this situation. I'm on the outsider looking in. I'm a handicapper. I don't have to be a doctor to know the Bengals have other options. And one of them is bench Burrow until the thing, whoever their backup quarterback, I don't even know who their backup quarterback is. Put him in there and get him some reps. Okay, so you go 0-4. But your $275 million player that you just signed is okay. And I think the Bengals are making a big mistake. That tells me a lot of things about their organization. They were never. I know they had Paul Brown all those years, but when Paul Brown stepped down, you could see some slippage from the Bengals. And then they had Marvin Lewis for 7 years, but he never won a playoff game because he wanted the tight end and he wanted a certain linebacker that fits his prototype for his defense. He wanted to spend the money on it, okay? So Marvin Lewis was, I'm telling you, was an excellent, great coach. He was the defensive coordinator for those Baltimore Raven teams that won the 1999 Super Bowl. If there was 3 games in the middle of the season, they didn't allow a touchdown. They only had 1 or 2 field goals. I mean, they beat slapped the NFL with that defense and made the first wild card team that was favored in the Super Bowl when they beat the Giants 35-7, whatever it was. Marvin Lewis was part of that. Okay, he's an excellent coach. They run him out of town. They lost their patience with him. He can't win any games in the playoffs. And when you hear things and you see things like that over and over again, how good is this organization? They got lucky with some of the players that they managed to cobble together the last few years, and you see the results with Joe Burrow and those wide receivers that are awesome. It reminds me of Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and John Taylor. They were unstoppable. No team could stop them. They knew they were going to throw the ball to them, but they couldn't stop them. The Dallas Cowboys had Evan Smith, the running back, who could handle the ball, and they couldn't stop him. And the Chicago Bears had Walter Payton, who could handle the ball. They knew they couldn't stop him. I mean, those teams are just going to move on you, and that's it. They're that great. Okay, so Cincinnati got lucky with their draft, and they did some things right. I'm not knocking them completely. The fact that they're letting this fester like this is not good for their team. So I'm taking advantage of that. I'm taking the Rams. Plus, I think the Rams' defense is outplaying the Bengals' defense, and I think the Rams' offense is a lot better than even with Joe Burrow in there. I'm handicapping this game as if Joe Burrow's not even hurt. And Cincinnati defense is terrible this year. They can't get it where he can't rush the passer. They look a little slower than last year. The eyeball test is why I gave it one of my part-time gigs so I can start watching these NFL. Not to recap things that don't tell you anything. I'm watching the full games when I've got time. I'm going to get a couple hours sleep at night. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to watch all the games. The eye test. Nothing beats the eye test. So we're taking the Rams plus 2.5, and I'm walking the plank with it. And Cincinnati's going to fall to 0-3. But with the 17th game in there, they're going to think, well, we can still come back. And then they still may. I think they're making a mistake. They get Joe Burrow hurt. But someone in that front office is going to be getting fired. Whoever talked these people into it should be getting fired. But that's me. I wouldn't last a week in the NFL. I'm so hard-nosed. Okay, last game, game number 5, we are taking, and against my better judgment, we're taking the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 2.5. They're at Las Vegas. Look at the injury report. The Raiders got a ton of injuries. Pittsburgh's got some injuries. I don't see anything that really sticks out. Hayward, they lost to the defensive tackle, but they lost him last week. That's why I went against them last week. But they still won. They beat my Cleveland Clowns. So everybody else is either probable or questionable. It's not bad. Raiders, on the other hand, that guy, Chandler Jones, having some problems with him, the coaching staff. They locked him out of the gym room or whatever, and he just went nuts. I mean, he's played for New England, but he's a beast. He's had definitely personal problems. I'm not going to read the injury list, but we're getting a healthier team with the Steelers. If that defense could just play half what they did against the Cleveland Browns, I think they can slow down Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo doesn't do well with these big pass rush teams, does he? How many big games has Garoppolo ever won? He had his chance against Kansas City Super Bowl, didn't do it. Pickett's not going to set the world on fire. You look who Pickett's played. The San Francisco 49ers week 1. Okay. That's the defense he had to open up against. And Cleveland's not allowed to play in their red zone all year. Okay. Cleveland's defense is the real deal, just like I said in the video. I don't like Mike Tomlin, but Mike Tomlin's no fool. He's going to use that same formula that he did to beat the Cleveland Browns. And that should be enough, I think, to get the win against the Raiders. 55-45 money coming on the Raiders. I just think Pittsburgh got the better team. There's 6 units that go on the field in every football game. You get offense, defense, and special teams. That's 3 units times 2 teams. That 1 unit, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, is so good that the other 5 units don't matter to me. Even though I lost 2 games, I lost 2 units on the contest. I like what I saw out of the Steelers. This is the best I've seen them play in a long time, and they fought hard. Cleveland, not so much. I still think Cleveland should have won the game, but the better team always somehow finds a way to win. And I know people keep saying, well, I'm taking the Raiders because Pittsburgh got 2 defensive touchdowns. That's their style of play. Maybe this team can depend on their defense getting them 7 points a game. Maybe they're that good. I just told you how good the Ravens were. They were like that. The defense could turn into an offense if they're awesome enough and they're powerful enough. Chicago Bears 85 defense. You can count on them getting 2 touchdowns every game. Every game. They created so much pressure. They couldn't stop. They were unstoppable. You get a defense like that. And Tomlin's been around. He's the second longest tenured coach behind Bill Belichick, I'm telling you. And I think John Harbaugh is the third for the Ravens. They're in the AFC North. 4 beasts in the AFC North. You got the Baltimore Ravens. You got the Cincinnati Bengals once they get healthy. You got the Cleveland Browns. And you got the Pittsburgh Steelers. All 4 of them are beasts that nobody wants to play. Bengals are kind of down and out right now, but we'll see. But this game, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's my 5th pick. Recapping the picks, the Chargers, Cowboys, Chiefs, the Rams, and the Steelers. Thank you. Enjoy the games. Long live the NFL. Stay within your means. Don't go crazy. Don't be doing that stuff I used to do and lose. I'm picking every game. I'm going to do my best. I gave up one of my part-time gigs so I could spend time doing football. I even gave up on my political channel and let those clowns destroy each other. This is more important. We're here to beat the book. We're here to beat the casinos. We're here to show them that we're not rubes, that we're not fools. We're credible people, and it's our entertainment, and we're going to do this, and we're determined, right? Thank you, players. Thank you, handicappers. Thank you, subscribers. See you next week.